welcome to this week's episode of TRUUU Podcast. I'm your host, Drea.
And I'm Alex.
And this week we are doing something fun. We're just kind of like answering get to know you questions. Alex actually sent me this like website article thing that has a bunch of like these get to know you. And I think it's funny because I think these are like questions that you're supposed to ask like someone you're interested in dating.
Here's the thing. In the title of the article, it says 250 deep questions to ask a guy or girl, or really anyone you want to get to know better.
Okay, fair.
So they make that distinction.
It's so funny. But yeah, before we get into the meat of the podcast, how was your week, Alex?
My week's been good. We had some fun over the weekend, so that was really awesome. If anyone hasn't seen, because I didn't post about it on Instagram because I just haven't been posting on Instagram. But anyway,
sure.
If anyone follows Drea on Instagram, you'd know that we went to a winery, which was tons of fun. It was nice to get out a little bit.
It was fun. And I think it's also funny because like you were saying, I know that like you were saying like, you know, like you're not really a wine person and you were more just like down for the cause.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it was so fun. Like, even though you don't even necessarily like wine that much.
I don't, but I didn't hate anything that I tried. Well, I should say anything that like I personally tried, like stuff that was like offered to me on the side. I didn't really like that. I wasn't really a fan of that. But the things I asked for specifically, I really like those, most of which was rosé. So there's that.
Yeah, I feel like your taste in wine and my taste in wine are like starkly different because you're more of like a sweet drink type of person and I'm like, give me the bitters.
Yes, I'm very much against the bitter dry wine. But anyway, so moving on from that, had some fun time with my family on Saturday. Had my nephew over, and here's the thing. So like I told you recently that like him and the cat have like discovered each other, right?
Right.
And how he gets really excited whenever he sees the cat.
Right.
So like, have you watched the movie The Grudge?
Yes, unfortunately.
So you know, like so the apparition, right? You know, the grudge lady, how she makes that really guttural sound in the back of her throat, like whenever she's like crawling around. Yeah, that one. So that is now what my nephew does to show his excitement towards the cat.
That is disturbing.
I had the most amazing video of him on my phone doing that to the cat, like because the cat's like sitting on the couch and he's standing up next to the couch like trying to reach for him, all the while making this noise, and then in the background my family just losing it.
Oh my gosh, that is like, I feel like, yeah, like I get it, like, you know, it's a baby, you know, he's just like learning ways to express himself, but I feel like if I was a parent and like my child was doing that, I'd be like, demon child, bring me the sage, we must cleanse his spirit.
I will send you the video after this because it's ridiculously funny. It's outrageous and it's really cute actually too. It's so funny.
That's funny. That's a fun thing that happened.
Yeah, and then my mom and I for that made homemade lasagna together again. So that was yummy. Ooh, so on Sunday, and you'll be interested to hear this particularly, Drea. So we got Vince's spaghetti.
I thought that we had a deal that we weren't gonna have it until we could eat there.
I don't remember this deal.
I remember it. We were in my backyard and we were talking about things we missed. And I was like, you know what I missed? Vince's. And you're just like, yeah, but we can't have it unless we're there. And I was like, you're right. We gotta wait till we can go there to have it.
Well, we went there because they have like everything there. Like, I don't know how much you remember of the inside.
I remember.
But a lot of it's like pretty cleared out. So like you're pretty distanced from everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
So I suggested that to my parents on Sunday. I'm just like, hey, yo, some Vince's spaghetti sounds awesome.
Oh, so you had it there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine, whatever. We didn't specify that we had to go together. We just said we had to eat it there.
Hey man, I'm always gonna be down for another round. You don't need to convince me.
Yeah, but I'm also not down for indoor eating, so.
Anyway, yeah, I didn't feel particularly, you know, weird about it just because like their rules that they have in that establishment.
Sure.
And I feel like we kind of ate inside-ish anyway at the winery.
That's
I feel
really
like
debatable.
It's middle ground, I think. But
Anyway.
Point being is that was yummy. And then also I did my taxes yesterday.
Wow.
I know. And here's the thing is that like this is the first time ever that I did it really and truly by myself.
Ew.
Did you say ew?
Yeah, I never do my taxes myself. I have a guy do it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because like in the past, we get my taxes done through my parents' accountant, but then it became the whole thing of like, you know, since you were a single person with basically like no assets or anything, like it's not worth the money necessarily to
I suppose,
have an accountant do it. Like it'd be cheaper for me to just, you know, do it online, which I do it through Credit Karma and have for the past couple of years. And
how much does that cost online? And I can edit this out if you don't want to share it.
It's free.
Oh, it's free? Oh.
Credit Karma, you could do it for free, which I guess the bonus thing, well, I can kind of see this anyway because of my Discover card, but like the bonus is that like when I log in, obviously Credit Karma is about your credit. So like I got to see what my credit score was.
Is it 800?
I'm not going to divulge what it is on air.
I'm like, what's your social security?
Right. Anyway, did that by myself yesterday because like usually I like to at least have my mom like over my shoulder to like supervise the whole thing. Because, you know, obviously it's a big deal, right? Like, especially because you either, you know, you have owe money or you get paid money or whatever. So I don't want to make, you know, any mistakes here.
Right.
So usually I do it with parent supervision. But then I was just kind of like, well, I probably should say that I'm enough now to do my taxes by myself.
Well, that's more than I can say I do because I've never in my life done my taxes by myself. Because once I started making enough money for it to matter, I had too many assets to like, you nailed it on the head, you know, like being single and like, you know, just like mainly just having like your salary and like whatever, like it probably makes sense to do it yourself. But I wasn't like ahead of the game like you were, like working since you were 16. Like the point when I started making money enough to like, you know, claim it in taxes, I already had like a house and everything. And I'm just like, I'm not risking it on my own stupidity to not do this correctly.
Right. Well, I mean, it was only since I think I was like out in the proper like workforce because otherwise I think I didn't have to file because I was a dependent of my parents.
Oh, really?
I think so. Because maybe it's just something that I was ignorant of because my parents took care of those sort of things for so long.
Yeah, I mean, me too. My parents did it also. So I don't know. Like me saying really was like legitimately asking you like, really? Not because I was questioning you.
Well, no, because like I'm trying to like rack my brain right now and maybe I feel like I remember like getting a small tax refund when I was younger that I don't remember. Anyway, point being is that I did it and I feel good about myself and it's also a weight off my mind. I guess it really ultimately doesn't matter because the deadline was extended from the normal deadline, but also I feel like I have the tendency to let those things drag out for too long because I don't like to do anything that I consider to be a pain, which I would consider this to be a pain.
Correct.
So I got it out of the way, which makes me feel good. It's one load off my mind because I still need to take care of like my car, for example.
Well, you definitely are ahead of the game, like in comparison to a lot of people. Like my boss, for example, like of all people, like I was just saying, you know, like I got a guy to do it because I have assets and I don't want to mess it up. Like my boss has way more assets than I do, and he does not even have an appointment. Like it's not even on his mind yet. Like he's not even like, he doesn't even know what he's gonna do. Like he doesn't even have a guy, like nothing. And I'm just like, okay. And the thing is, see, your rebuttal to that could be like, well, you know, the deadline was extended to May and da-da-da-da. He didn't even know the deadline was extended until I told him.
Well, that's frightening.
Literally.
Get it together, man.
You fool.
I'm not going to call you out by name, but if you listen to this, get it together.
You know who you are, though. Yeah, no, it like gives me so much anxiety. And then like I'm the type of person, because obviously like I'm telling you, I have a guy and I've been going to him my whole life. And like when we do our appointment, like we did ours in like early March or something. At our appointment in March, we like set our appointment for the following March. Like we set it a year in advance because I'm not forgetting.
That's responsible. That's really good of you.
Yeah, because I'm the type of person who like forgets. That's why I have to do that, because I'm just like, I don't trust myself not to like commit some sort of like tax evasion fraud.
On accident.
On accident, exactly.
That's a key thing here, especially since we're going to be putting this out into the universe. To whoever may listen to this, she's not committing, you know, intentional tax fraud.
Literally. Yeah. That's also like just like my biggest fear is like being convicted of some sort of like crime like that, like tax evasion, for example.
Yeah.
But like me doing it on accident, you know, like I didn't even realize I was doing it. Like that is my biggest fear for some reason. I'm just like I'm doing something wrong in life.
Or like misfiling something, you like get audited or whatever.
Yes, dude. Like literally like all those things. Like I'm just like, oh my God, like this is the end of my life. You know, like I've lived my whole life in perfection, quote unquote, just to make one mistake and then get sent to prison for the rest of my life. Like, I don't know why that's like that's an irrational fear I have.
Right. Well, I mean, the really cool thing about like using Credit Karma, well, I'm sure that other, you know, online tax sites like do the same thing.
I'm so sorry, really fast before you say anything. Like right when you said that, I don't know why, like I thought I was watching like a TV ad.
This is not an ad. I'm not sponsoring them.
Credit Karma.
Anyway,
go on, sorry.
Is that it files right away with the state and federal tax stuff. So like I got emails right away when the tax filings were accepted. So like I know right away that it was like it's okay.
So that's like good. That way you have like verification that you're not being a fool.
Yeah, it was like within 5 minutes of like my filing. Like it went from like submitted to accepted for both entities, and just like, well, that's really nice. Just have that out of the way. Although one thing that I would say is kind of anticlimactic about like doing taxes in like this form is that now I have, because I'm still at the point where like since I don't have, you know, certain things, I still usually get tax returns, and I just get them direct deposited. Like you don't get the check anymore.
I get direct deposit too, so I feel you.
It's like anticlimactic because like you don't even necessarily know that it's there. Like all of a sudden it's just in your account and you're like, oh, okay.
I mean, is it anticlimactic? Because like, for example, with the whole like Biden, the stimulus check, like I woke up one day and Aaron was like, oh, look, our stimulus hit. And we're like all of a sudden like $6,000 richer, you know, because we have direct deposit for like our taxes and whatnot.
Right.
Versus like Eduardo, for example, who like he does the whole like mail and like he had to wait 50 years to get his check. So I'm like, is it anticlimactic or is it more just ahead of the game?
I mean, ahead of the game, but also Eduardo was just being a fool. So
I mean, that's basically the motto of this whole podcast. If you guys didn't know, this whole podcast is constructed around the motto that Eduardo is a fool.
He really is. Oh man, that guy sometimes. Anyway, and I guess like my last kind of like coolio thing is that I've been getting back on the treadmill, and I did so this morning. I really reasoned with myself and just like, hey man, you got to do it. And I waited until the last minute too, and I did. Got on the treadmill, then afterwards did some squats, push-ups, and sit-ups.
Oh wow, you're really doing it today.
Yeah, so I had like later this morning I had like a staff meeting, and like that was, you know, quite a bit of time, and then afterwards when I got up after that my legs were like dead, and it's like, wait, oh no.
That is at least like a good pain, you know. It's like there's something like, for example, like when I got my COVID vaccine, you know, it's just like it's good because you're doing something, you know, good for yourself, good for the community, but it's bad because like I'm dying. I feel like that's like the same thing. It's just like it's so good because you're being healthy and you're putting yourself out there, you're getting a routine. It's just like I can't move.
Yeah, so I'm hopefully, because my whole thing, and that whenever I'm in like a exercise kick, I usually only do 4 days a week because I don't feel like the need to overdo it necessarily. So I'm hoping to, you know, get that done for the next 3 consecutive days and actually stick to it. So
that's really good.
One thing, and you can laugh at me for this, go ahead and feel free to laugh at me. So I usually watch, you know, shows or whatever while I'm running because
we're going with this.
So there's a particular anime I'm catching up on right now, and I'm only gonna let myself watch the next episode while I'm running.
Oh, that's like a good little like incentive to have. I thought you were gonna say something like, I watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine without you, or like something like that.
No, that's what you do.
Yeah, but I've seen the whole thing like 5 times over, so it doesn't really matter. But I mean, I'm watching, because here's the thing, I started rewatching it prior to you starting to watch it again, and so like I was already way ahead, and then when you started watching, I'm just like, I'm watching it in duality. Like I'm on season 5, but I'm also watching season 1 with you. You know what I'm saying? So don't at me.
But anyway, so I'm only letting myself watch the next episode of that particular show while I'm on the treadmill in order to incentivize myself. However, there's only so many new episodes of that show, so at some point I'm gonna have to hit a wall and decide what show I'm gonna watch next. Because one thing that I have noticed, because a lot of the past couple of years of me, you know, having this relationship with the treadmill, is that I usually watch stuff on there, but I find that if I'm not watching watching something new to me, I get distracted and then I get more focused on the running part, and that's exact opposite of what I need.
Yeah, I feel you there. I hate running. Running is the bane of existence. Like of all exercises, running is the worst.
Yeah. Well, I'm really hoping that I can get like really good rhythm going actually with sit-ups and push-ups. Not that that's like the end all of like good exercising or whatever, because it certainly, I'm sure, isn't. But I've always wanted one to have like really good core strength.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. And also just like some kind of arm strength, because I've always been pretty weak as far as that's concerned.
I feel you.
So I'm just like, it'd be nice to be able to do both of those things well.
You want to know a fun fact really fast about sit-ups with me? So I would say, like, obviously no, because ya girl, like I said, I am not low-rise jean body ready, but I, for the most part, my whole life have had a pretty strong core because, I mean, I play tennis and you're constantly working out your core. And so like, I can do like 100 crunches, like planks, side planks, like whatever it is, name it, but I cannot, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I cannot do a single sit-up without someone like holding my feet down.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like my body does not understand the motion.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have no clue why.
So you just have to have someone holding down your feet.
Or I just don't do sit-ups. Like I'll do crunches or something. I'm telling you, I could do like anything else, just not sit-ups.
I guess my compromise to that would be to like leverage your feet on something to like keep them down.
But it, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's my whole point though. It's just like something has to hold my feet down, which I know that like you can do sit-ups without holding your feet down. Like that's a thing. And I don't know why I just can't physically. I cannot physically do it.
That's my report. Not to take too much time on this whole thing.
Okay, anyway. Well, my week was equally, I don't know, exciting? I don't know. What's the right word? But anyways, I had spring break last week from work, which was much needed because I'm dying, slowly drowning. And over the week, I was hoping to like get a lot of like relaxation done, but that of course did not happen, as you know, one always thinks that like, oh, on vacation, I'm going to relax and it never happens. So I was like super busy showing my sister houses. I know that like in our last podcast, I had mentioned like, oh yeah, she had a few bids in this house and like, hopefully I can report back on like if she got it. I have no update.
Oh no.
We're still in limbo, but there are two other houses that came on the market that she also really liked. One of them is in Laverne. It's like right next to the college, not right next to the college, but like next to the college. You know where Damien is? Damien High School. It's like right up the street from Damien. And obviously I'm biased to Laverne and I'm just like, oh my God, you're so close to Lord's. We can just hang out there all the time in the warehouse, like you know? So hopefully she gets, if not the San Dimas one, she gets that one. If not that one, there's another one in Upland, which I'm less excited about because I'm just like, I don't want to drive all the way to Upland to see you, but it's not my, you know, it's not about me, it's about her. So we'll see what happens there. I got my hair done on Tuesday, which I have to give my hairdresser credit because she like is very thorough. She takes her time. Like I really like how it came out. It's like a lot like less yellow. But one thing that like I was like dying, like I don't know why, for whatever reason at that day, like I was like, get me out of here. I'm so over it. Like I lost patience. So I was like not in a good mood, even though she was doing everything amazingly. Like she was going to the fastest she could possibly go, but I was just not having it. So then that was like another stressor for my week. And then we went to the winery, which was a great way for me to like de-stress because as Alex mentioned, it was so fun. We like went to the tasting room and the guy that was like serving us, whatever, like we paid for 6 like tastings and he had to have given us like 8 or 9. Like he
for sure 8.
He was really hooking it up. And then on top of that, he wasn't even pouring like tasting portions. He was like pouring glasses. And
glasses? You're so dramatic. It was somewhere in the middle between tastings and glasses, you guys.
I mean, but when I say, I don't mean like a whole glass. I mean like a typical wine glass portion. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So like halfway. But like I was there for it. I was like living it. I really liked the wines. We had a good dinner. It was amazing. And honestly, we got there like 2 and we ended up leaving around like 7. So we were there for like 5 hours and it did not seem like 5 hours.
No, it was a good time.
Yeah, time really flew. So that was really great. If you guys ever want to go to a good winery, a Callaway Winery in Temecula. Anyways, and then lastly, so today I went back to work. Obviously it's Monday. We always record on Mondays. And today was like the first day that students come back to campus, like officially.
Oh yeah.
And so it was kind of like chaotic and like hectic and stressful because like, you know, we're still trying to follow like COVID protocols. Like not all the students are coming back, like there's certain cohort and there's like certain rules and a certain schedule. And so like, it's really confusing because like kids come back to school or like cohort A comes back to school on Monday, but they only come for for their first 3 periods, go home and do the next 3 periods from home. And then on Tuesday, they come back to school in the morning and they do their last 3 periods in person, go home and do their first 3 periods in the afternoon. And then it switches to cohort B Tuesday or Thursday, Friday.
You know, and I get, you know, the trying to get like kids back on campus thing. And that's like a really big thing that parents are pushing for and like whatever. But I'm just like,
what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? And isn't it so much more of an inconvenience, especially, well, maybe not for high school kids because, you know, some of them can drive themselves. But, you know, if you have like a younger kid who's only going for half a day, or like I know some who are only going for like 2 or 2.5 hours, maybe, isn't that a major inconvenience for the family to cart them around that way in the middle of the day?
I'm 100% with you, Alex. I thought it was stupid. I was like, why even bring kids back in general? But I'm looking at it from a me lens. You know, I don't have kids. I just work there and I don't want stinky kids around me. You know, like I don't want to deal with the stress. So I'm just like, keep your kids at home. I don't want them here. But obviously, like that's probably not how a lot of people feel. So I'm like, for me, it's like, what's the point? Leave them home. Like finish this school year out, distance learning, la la la. But I'm also not the demographic who probably has the most say in this.
Right.
So I don't know. Anyway, but it was fine. Like the day went by fine, but it was just so like emotionally, mentally, so much to deal with today. And then like on top of that, like tennis practice, I had tennis practice after work for the kids and it went long because we have a match tomorrow and the coach was like freaking out. He's like, we need more practice, blah, blah, blah. So then it went long and then I'm rushing home to get to class because my class starts at 4:30 and he didn't let them out till like 4:20. So I'm like literally like booking it home. I like barely jump on my class call and then I have to sit in class for 2 hours. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, like I am so over it. Like I'm so over it today. Like I'm like, I just don't even want to go to work tomorrow. And then tomorrow, like after work, we have a tennis match. And I don't know if I've told you this, Alex, but like right now, because they're doing all sports at one time. So like boys and girls tennis is playing in the same season. And a lot of times like the coach for the teams is the same person. So like they can't have a girls match at like the home location and then a boys match at the away location because who's going to be the coach there, you know? So every single match is a girls and boys match at the same location, but with only 6 courts.
That feels like it's going to take forever.
It does. I'm here to tell you, it does. It takes 10 years to finish a match. Like just in a regular year, you know, you play like a girls match or whatever, you'll maybe be there like 3 or 4 hours. Now figure you have a whole nother team that also has to play. It's insanity. It's so stupid. I hate it. So I'm never going to get home tomorrow. I'm just going to live at the school. The end. Bye.
So I guess that we're not going to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine tomorrow?
I don't know, Alex. I would like to say that we will, but being 100% honest, I don't know because...
Don't worry about it though, because you're going to be really busy and tired. So if you don't want to, it's no big deal. Obviously, we can do that another time.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's not a big deal to watch it. I'm just literally laying down watching the TV. So it's like not that big a deal, but it's more a big deal of like what time I get home. So stay tuned. But anyway.
Well, look forward to this Saturday, yo.
Oh my God. I know this Saturday, if you guys have been keeping up with the podcast, it's my 2016 birthday. Next week, we'll give you the breakdown of what went down.
Yeah, that's exactly what we could talk about. Yeah. The 2000s party. Amazing.
Okay,
awesome.
Let's move on to the actual nitty gritty of the podcast because as we've been falling into this like habit recently, we're spending like 45 minutes on our week updates and then like 20 minutes on the actual podcast. So,
but at least we're usually being entertaining.
One would like to think, right? Maybe it's only entertaining to you and me though.
That's fine.
Okay, so I'm just like figure that we're gonna choose some of these random questions that we think are kind of like fun, and then we'll just like go off of that, you know?
Yeah, sounds great.
So why don't I ask you a question first? And so so if I ask you a question, should we like both answer it or should
I think so.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, all's fair.
So the first question I'm gonna ask you, and the only reason I'm asking you this question is because it's my favorite number. Actually, you know what? We should do this. You should choose the number, and then I should read you the question. That way, we're not like biased to which like question we choose, and just like random. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm okay with you being biased.
I don't know. I was just thinking it would make it more interesting. Okay, fine, whatever. All right. Well, I'm choosing this because it's my favorite number question. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
I feel like this is a really difficult question too, because it really would just depend on the day and, you know, I guess availability, whatever. What I'd really like to do. What would I like to do?
Well, it's like any day, like literally this whole day you have blocked off. You could do anything.
Really at this point, like doing like a chill kickback with friends just sounds like a really good time, but not like...
That is the most like COVID deprived question I've ever heard, or like answer I've ever heard.
Because I feel like, you know, especially like we did a little bit more in the summer where we'd like have like longer hangouts or whatever. And that's not a criticism to anyone because obviously like we all have, you know, busier schedules
jobs,
and jobs and whatever. That's fine. But just like to hang out for like a whole day and just do nonsense, like that sounds like a really good time to me. Because otherwise, like, because I think of like what other things I could probably like answer, like, you know, binge watch TV shows or like play video games or whatever. Like that's fun, don't get me wrong, and I like to spend days doing that sort of thing. But also usually whenever that happens, like I'll get so engrossed in what I'm doing that I look up and it's the afternoon already and I'll be like, well, where's my day gone?
Yeah, true.
It doesn't
just
feel
doing like random things with friends.
Yeah, like that would feel
like
ultimately, I think, more satisfying to me.
That sounds like fun to me. We should do that more. I mean, this summer, I'm gonna be unemployed, so I'll be more free. Anyway, okay, well, thanks, Alex. My answer to that would probably be, okay, and this is like, I feel like yours is so sweet and like, you know, like kind and involving of others. And my answer is like so selfish because I'm like, if I could do literally anything for a whole day, I would want to get like a massage, like go to a spa, like get my nails done, like literally just a whole day of pampering, like, you know, with good food, a whole day of pampering, good food, and literally just like turn it in, go to bed at like 8 o'clock.
Well, you know what's really interesting, and I think this is something that Nicole might have mentioned to you at some point, like before, like yes, Glen Ivy.
Yes,
because I'm just like, I've heard of this kind of day, and I've done this kind of day before at Glen Ivy. And you know,
see, I didn't do it because I didn't go with you guys, and so I'm like, oh, I want that day.
Yeah, whenever life allows, we need to really have that day all together. That'd be a lot of fun.
I'm so down, especially right now because they're like they've reopened like massage places, and I'm like, well, I'm fully back, so well, I don't know if I will, but like I'm interested in it. Anyway, okay, why don't you ask another question then?
So one that I'm kind of interested in, what motivates you to work hard?
Oh God, we're like all of a sudden this became like a therapy session.
See, well, these are deep questions. It says in the title.
Oh my God. Okay, if I'm being like totally honest, like this is about to be like a really like kind of like deep, not like fun answer. But like what motivates me to work hard is that like I live in this like kind of like perpetuating anxiety, like fear that I'm not living up to my like life's potential, which I know is like preposterous. You know, like everyone is on their own journey in life, and like, you know, one person's definition of success doesn't mean like another person's definition, whatever. But like I don't know why, but I feel like if I'm not constantly doing my most, I'm wasting my life. And then on top of that, I feel like how dare I waste my life when my parents have done so much to provide for me and like give me all, like set me up for success, and how dare I squander that? And like that perpetuating anxiety and fear is what literally is just like, gotta keep going no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, well, those things make sense, and I feel like, you know, they're both good answers, because I think that one should live to their full potential, although you probably could go a little bit easier on yourself because you're so terribly accomplished, especially for, you know, your age. Don't shake your head at me.
I'm working as a clerk. I make $2,000 a month.
You're getting your 3rd degree, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like literally, like everyone's definition of success is different, and so why am I like even stressing about it, you know? But it's like, it's just I know it's a problem. I know it shouldn't be a problem, but it's just, I'm an Aries. It's Aries season. Okay, what's yours?
Well, I also can't blame you because I am similar about a lot of that sort of stuff too. So like I can't really say anything to criticize. But for me, I would say it's a couple things. So one would be that like kind of the expectation, and not in like in a bad way, but like the expectation in my household has like always been like hard work. Like that's all I've ever seen from both of my parents, is them working hard and never complaining about it. So like that's just kind of like the MO of my family. You just get the work done, you don't complain about it, and it just is what it is. You just do it.
Right.
And like one thing that I would say for myself is like, you know, I would say that I grew up, you know, I didn't grow up like super like, you know, my parents weren't millionaires or anything, but we grew up well. And to be honest, I would like to maintain a certain standard of living.
Absolutely.
So, you know, what it takes to achieve that obviously would be worth it to me.
Yeah.
And like thinking about like, because obviously I've talked about, you know, someday I'd like to have a family of my own, and I would want to provide something similar to what I had. So, you know, that means that you have to put a certain amount of work in, because obviously nothing's going to be handed to you. You know, that's not how life works.
I love that you brought up like how you're thinking about like your future and your family, and that's like a big motivator for you, because it just goes back to that whole thing. Like you have such like a thoughtful sweet answer. And literally, like, if anything, like, my whole thing is just like, I'm working so freaking hard. Why am I gonna like waste my money on a family? Like, I could just be happy, like, spending my money on myself, going on trips, you know?
Well, it's so funny that you say that because, well, one, I feel like my motivation for it is pretty selfish. Like, I want a certain standard of living, so, you know, this is just what it takes. Like, it's a means to an end sort of thing almost. But I mean, also, there's nothing wrong with, like, one thing that I really appreciate about my parents, and they've said it to me multiple times, you know, throughout my younger years, and then also, like, reminding me a lot right now, like, in my 20s, is like, you make good money, you do hard work, so there's no problem in treating yourself every once in a while to something that you want. Like, there's no shame in that. You don't need to pinch pennies, like, for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you have the money for it, that's not going to put you, like, in the poorhouse or anything, then, you know, go for it. Like, you work hard for what you earn.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely something that, like, I have come to learn from my friends, like, from, like, you, obviously. Like, I feel like you validate, like, when we do things and, like, I'm spending money. Like, I feel like my friends validate that in me because I was so not raised that way. Like, my parents were like, never frivolously spent money. And I feel like for them it worked. Like, obviously, like, it worked for them, but, like, I feel like it's like a sense, it's like a sort of like mental health kind of like thing when you're kind of spending money frivolously on like things that like don't really matter, but if it makes you happy, like, just do it. You know, if you have the money, why not? So that's something like I've been trying to get better at, for sure.
Well, and one thing is that, like, also the way that, you know, we approach those sort of ideas, like, matters, because, like, I wouldn't call any of those sort of things, especially stuff that you're getting for yourself or like I'm getting for myself, I wouldn't call any of that frivolous, just because you and I aren't buying things for ourselves that we don't need or don't necessarily or won't use.
Yeah, okay, there we go. I'm like, that's debatable.
I should say that we don't, because we, you know, you don't need a lot of things, so I'll take that back, but something that you don't use, like, at all.
Fair.
Like, you know, and it's not like we do it all the time either. Like, it's everything in moderation, right? So, like, every once in a while buying something nice for yourself that you're going to use, like, there's nothing wrong with that.
I agree with you. You're right. Okay, shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy. All right. This is challenging because I really haven't read through a lot of these, so I was literally just going off of like, what numbers do I like? So I guess I'm gonna do that again.
And there's like 3 different lists too. Like,
oh my god, there is?
Yeah, there's like general ones, one to ask specifically guys, and then one to ask specifically girls.
Why? Okay, I'm just like, this is not the question I'm asking, but I'm just reading like the first question for deep questions to ask a guy. Do you consider yourself an introvert or extrovert? Why is that guy specific?
I don't know.
Okay, so then I'm gonna ask one of the deep questions for a girl. So here's a question that is of particular interest to me because I have like a story behind it. Not a story behind it, but like a conversation. Okay. Is flirting cheating?
I would say ultimately no.
Okay.
However, there is a however in there. Sure. However, I would seriously ask yourself to question, like, if you're in a relationship and flirting with someone else, like, because you could like say, you know, oh, I'm just like kind of slightly flirting or whatever. I would check that impulse because it makes me wonder about the seriousness of like your commitment to your relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's unfair, I think.
Sure.
To entertain that sort of thing with someone who is not, you know, someone you're in a relationship with. Well, if you're in a relationship and you're flirting with someone else, I think that is sketchy. I think that there are different levels of flirting. So, you know, I could see someone on the technicality or just like light flirting or whatever, like being like, well, it's not a big deal. But I kind of feel like it's a big deal because I feel like if you really that into whoever you're dating, you wouldn't want to flirt with someone else.
For sure.
So that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's your question, you know, it's your answer rather.
Right.
Yeah. So like, here's my stance on it. I think it depends on what type of flirting it is, because I feel like if it's like a full on like touchy, like, oh my God, like, you know, like grabbing his bicep, you know, things like that. Like, I feel like that's like, okay, girl, you know, or guy, you know, like calm down, you know? But okay. So the reason I brought this up, so I have this like very, very like stern belief that I think it's like unrealistic to expect that when you're in a relationship, you're not going to find other people attractive. Like, I think that's unrealistic to think of, you know, like just because, yeah, you're you're in love with someone, you're dating someone, whatever, like doesn't mean that like all of a sudden like every other person in the world is like gross, you know?
Yeah.
It's unrealistic to think that. So for me, I'm always telling Aaron, I'm just like, here's the thing, like I'm very open and honest. If I see someone who I think is hot, I'm gonna be like, dang, he hot, you know? Like, and I tell him, like, if you see someone that's hot, like I don't care, because I am not naive to the fact that we're gonna find other people attractive. It doesn't mean that we want to be with them. It's just that they're attractive, right? And so like we have this kind of like, and to go to that point, I'm very, very open with Aaron because I feel like, okay, let me give you an example. Have you seen the show The League?
No, but I've heard of it.
Okay, wait, was it in The League? Anyways, not the point. Okay, so there's a part in the show where the wife of like, yeah, it's in The League. Okay, so the wife Jenny, whose husband is Kevin. Yeah, Kevin. She's taking their son to like a pediatrician, and so she's taking the son like very often to the pediatrician, and so the husband's just like, why are you going to the pediatrician again? And she's like, oh, like I'm just making sure that he's healthy. He has to get this checked and da da da, you know. And so like she doesn't really tell him that she finds the pediatrician attractive until he finds out from someone else. He's just like, oh yeah, my wife's taking my kids to the pediatrician, and like, which one? And he tells them like the name, whatever, and they're just like, oh really? Like have you seen that guy? Like he's a total hunk. Like this is it. And they're talking them up, and all of a sudden like Kevin is just like, wait, what? And then he gets like really concerned. He's like, why didn't she tell me this? Like why is she going so often? And he gets like really panicky, and then he sees like how she's dressed to go, and she's dressed like really like pretty, you know, she did her makeup, whatever. And so he's just like, what's going on, you know? And so I'm always just like, here's the thing, Aaron, this is exactly why I'm so open and honest about everything. Because for example, there's a guy at my work who I call him my boyfriend, which that means nothing. It's just because I think he's cute.
Right.
And someone's just like, oh, my boyfriend like talked to me today, you know, like I'll always say that to him. Like I'll always tell him like straight up, like, oh my God, I think this guy's so cute. Oh my God, like I'm seeing my boyfriend today, you know, like all these things, because I'm just like, what would you rather happen? Me tell you like, hey, this guy's cute and I talked to him today and da da da, or you find out from some random person that all of a sudden I'm talking to this really attractive guy and I haven't told you anything about this and I'm keeping it secret. Right. Which one's more sketchy?
Well, and I think, you know, there's a certain level of, you know, like every couple is different and you guys like know how the other is, and you're always upfront about, you know, that sort of thing. So there really isn't any harm in it. And you're also, I don't feel like actively flirting with.
I mean, no, unless you consider flirting like just being literally like, how's work? Have you seen this article? You know? Anyway,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
So, yeah, for me, bottom line, like I just wanted to talk about that. I didn't even care about the question. Right. All right, you asked another one.
All right. Let's see. How often is your brain on autopilot?
Constantly. No, that's not true, but very often. Like I know that you and me, Alex specifically, always talk about like driving while not really paying attention.
Yeah.
And that's definitely like the biggest time that I can like definitely say like my brain's on autopilot. Like there are stretches of the freeway that like I have no idea what I passed. I have no idea what I was doing. Like I'm just driving blindly, which I know is really dangerous, but what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, certain things are kind of involuntary, I feel. So you kind of just get sucked in without really realizing it. Because obviously, if we can make the choice, especially when it comes to driving, on whether or not to autopilot, our choice would be not.
Right.
Our choice would be to be with it all the time.
Right.
But yeah, I get you. I would also say that I'm on autopilot quite a bit in my daily life, which, you know, now that I'm usually at home by myself isn't that much of a big deal. But like, for example, like it really becomes, you know, an awkward hindrance, like in social situations, in the sense of like for example, and I think I've probably told you this story before, that like, you know, sometimes like when I'd be with my mom, like in the grocery store or whatever, like she would kind of like get after me a little bit because she's like, hey, like you need to like make more eye contact with the people around you and like smile at them or whatever, like be friendly because like you look like, you know, whatever, because I'm walking around with her on autopilot.
Yeah,
I'm not really present. I'm just like, my head is in the clouds. I'm thinking about something totally different and probably have an unfriendly look on my face.
Yeah.
Which like, for, you know, the perfect example is like a lot of my friends that I ended up having like in college, like before, like they were, especially like sorority sisters, like before I joined up like with sorority, they are under the impression that I didn't like them because when they'd see me around campus, I'd just be lost in my own brain.
Yeah.
Not really aware of them being around me, and they just be under the impression that I didn't like them.
Yeah, I can see that happening a lot for you, Alex, because like I know that you're not, you know, like you're not angry or whatever, but I do feel like you have a very stern face when you're not really paying attention. So like, yeah, I can definitely see people being just like,
right, exactly. It's so awkward too, because like I get told a lot, like just from different people, that like I am stern, which I feel like I am actually stern in certain situations, like when I feel like I need to get some work done.
Right.
You know, when I'm focused on something. But I feel like other than that, I'm pretty cheerful and, you know, friendly. I'd like to think.
I agree. No, totally. It's like, it's exactly what you're saying. It's just like when you're on autopilot, you know?
Yeah, but anyway, so I'm on autopilot quite a bit, so I'm sorry if you ever see me out in the world and I'm not paying attention, because it probably is very likely.
You know what's another really quick, it's another like good example of autopilot? When you're like texting or like writing or doing something like that, and then someone like says something to you around you and you like write that word.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I
do
that all the time. And I'm just like, I'm so stupid.
Yeah, Freudian slip. Just like you heard it and Literally. It just comes out of your mouth. Amazing.
Okay, let's do another one. Oh, I found the how often are you on autopilot one. I was just scrolling. Okay, how about this? This is super vague. Okay. What's your story? That's literally the question.
What's my story?
Like without context. Like if someone was just like, what's your story? Like what would you say?
I have to think about that. What would I say my story is? I would say that I'm just a simple person who likes to hang out with their friends and family, usually always down for the cause of having a good time. You know, just trying to make their way through the world and be kind.
Yeah, I mean, basic, simple, to the point.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just one of those normal people just trying to live my life.
I feel like if I was asked this question, and I feel like you're going to hate this response or you're going to laugh at this response, I would definitely open it with, because it's just been so prevalent in my life recently. And so I'd be like, well, I'm an Aries. And I'm like, and that should tell you more about me than I can even begin to say. But no, I'd be like, yeah, I'm an Aries. You know, I was born and raised in California. Pretty leftist, pretty progressive person. Yeah, I mean, like, who hasn't been like, you know, totally like burned by the qualms of life?
Right.
Like we all got our baggage. I got my baggage. I'm like, I have my little like carry-on, but then I also have like a big old like 50-pound like luggage trailing behind me. So it's like, you know, you want to get to know me, you gotta like slowly unpack those little boxes, because like, you know, how do I even get into that? Like if someone asks me like, what's your story? It's like, boy, how much time do you have?
Right.
Okay, you ask another one.
This one I think would be an interesting one, because I think that you'd probably have something to say about it. What do you like to do that is traditionally considered masculine?
Oh my God. Well, let me tell you, just living in this body. No, okay. So like, I like to work out. Like I really, like I know Alex like will never cease to make fun of my workout days, but like I legitimately enjoy like working out, exercising, playing sports, like, and who's to say that that's quote unquote masculine, but like, I guess in like normative social expectations, that's a boy thing. So like, I like doing that. I like watching sports. I like doing anything like sport related, even if I don't know anything about it. Like, so for example, right now we're just finished March Madness or whatever, and I know nothing about college basketball. I can tell you right now, zero clue. But if someone was like, hey, you want to like join into my March Madness bracket, whatever, I'd be like, yeah, dude. Like I don't know anything about the teams. I don't know anything about the players, but like I'm still gonna like choose the names that I like, like the schools that I think are cool, and that'll be my bracket, you know? Like I don't know, I just feel like that's fun to me, which is challenging because like I know a lot of my friends, like my girlfriends, aren't really into that. Like for example, you, Alex.
Not fair, by the way, because back when I worked basically in sports, I was doing that stuff all the time.
But that was because that was more of a rah-rah thing. Would you do that on your own?
If someone asked, well, I mean, I wouldn't start up like a March Madness, you know, pool or whatever. But like, if someone were to, like, if you were to ask me, hey, do you want to do this? I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, that's fair. But what about like going to sporting events? Like if I was like, hey, you want to go to like this basketball game? Would you want to go?
Sure, I like basketball.
Okay, that's a bad example then. How about like if I was like, you want to go to this football game?
Yeah, okay, I have no problem with football.
Oh my God, okay, so what sports don't you like? Soccer?
I'd probably have a problem if you asked me to go to a golf tournament.
See, here's the thing though, Alex. I would never ask you to go to a golf tournament.
Hey, you asked me what sport I would feel this way about, and I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, soccer's not my favorite, but I'd be willing to go because I want to understand it better.
I love soccer. Soccer is actually the most likely sport I will invite you to be honest with you.
And that's fine. I'd go.
Okay. Yeah.
I've gone to hockey games. I enjoy watching hockey.
Who doesn't enjoy watching hockey? It's so entertaining.
It's fun. Obviously, I've gone to see you play tennis before, so I don't have a problem with that. What is this face that you're making at me right now?
Ew. I don't know. I just get awkward.
You're ewing yourself.
Yeah.
Nice. But point being is like, it's like I always say, I'm down for the cause, man.
Yeah, that's true. You are down for the cause. That is something I give you a lot of credit for.
I don't feel like there's any particular sport that I really hate besides golf, and only because it's boring.
No, I'm with you. Like okay, like I feel uncultured to be like golf is boring, but like it just kind of is. Like I'm not into it. And I have a caveat, it's not necessarily to say that golf is not an exciting sport, because I also think baseball is very boring.
I have no problem watching baseball.
Really? I think baseball is the most boring sport. I probably will watch golf before I watch baseball.
I mean, but my family used to share season tickets to baseball.
I mean, I would go to an in-person baseball game, because like I would never watch baseball on TV.
And I guess that's the thing, right? Is that I don't necessarily feel the need to watch any of these things on TV. I'd much rather go to an actual game, because that would make me a little bit more interested in what was going on.
I love watching sports on TV. Anyways, sorry, we just got on like a sports tangent. But do I have any other responses to that question? What do I do that I think is masculine? Oh, I do have one.
What do you like to do?
Right. So I mean, okay, like I like sports. But one other thing, I was actually talking about this with my boss the other day. Funny, because like I was talking about like my boyfriend at work or whatever. We were talking about my boyfriend at work, me and my boss, because this topic came up of how like when I was single, with the exception of Aaron, with the exception of my current husband, which is funny, I was always like basically taking on like the boys role, and how like I would pursue the people that I was interested in. Like I never like let guys like hit on me. Like I would be the one that'd be like, you're cute, let's get it on, I mean, not like that, but like, I would go after them, which is, what's to say what's masculine and what's not, but like traditionally guys ask out girls.
I'm well aware of this particular habit that you have, because you try to force me into that habit all the time.
Hey, it got me, like I had like 95% success rate, and the only reason I'm not saying 100% is because I feel like I probably don't have 100, but I can't think of anyone who it didn't work on off the top of my head.
Well, anyway, so
wait, before you even go further, because this is a PSA for every girl out there, because what is the worst that can happen? Okay, so if you're sitting here and you think a guy's cute, or you have a crush on someone and you're not going to move on it, like, okay, if I don't move on it, I'm going to stay here alone, single, with nothing happening between us. Versus if I go and talk to him and be like, hey, you're cute, let's do something, what's the two possible things that'll happen? One, he'll say, you're cute too, let's go out. Yay, I get my way. Or two, he's going to be like, no, thank you. And then what? I'm just in the same position that I was in if I hadn't asked him. There's no losing. Like nothing bad happens to you. It's either you just stay in one place, or you could potentially get good things happening to you.
I do agree with you in theory. I think, the only part that's missing is like there's a certain amount of vulnerability in doing that not everyone is comfortable with.
That's true. My sister was saying that to me too, because I told her that, and she was just like, yeah, but like I have like so much like, I would feel like, oh my God, I'm ugly, I'm this, and I'm just like, I guess I don't get my self-worth in the person I'm dating, but I understand that a lot of people that's not the case.
Well, and I wouldn't even necessarily like say self-worth either, like, because like I can only speak, for myself, obviously. So like one thing like for me is just like I don't like showing like the whole like emotion thing, or like being vulnerable in general thing is just not my bag. So like it's a foreign idea to me to be just like, hey man.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's true. Also, there does have to be like a certain level of like swagger, for lack of better word, because if you're just like a girl who has like no confidence and you're going up to a guy like, hi, like I think you're cute, like he probably is gonna think you're like creepy, versus like if you have like swagoo.
And I also think that you need to have like a certain amount of flirtation skills, which, as I've said to you many times before, I feel like I don't know how to flirt, and that's not, for good or bad or whatever. It's just like, I don't know. It's just never been in my repertoire.
I disagree with you, Alex. I think you don't know how to flirt when you're sober. When your inhibitions are lowered, you're good to go.
Thanks. Yes.
Okay, go on.
Anyway, so I guess my answer to the question then, I guess I have to focus on what do I like to do that is traditionally considered masculine, because I feel like there's certain things that I do I don't necessarily like. But anyway, so something that I guess I would like is that I'm very into like action movies in like particular, because I feel like that's, you know, more considered like a masculine interest.
Yeah.
Like when given like the option of watching a movie that's like totally stupid, shoot 'em up, or like ridiculous car chases or whatever, versus something like emotional, I'm gonna always pick the action movie.
Yeah.
You cut out like something fierce right there.
Oh, I thought you cut out something fierce. Okay, I'm sorry. I said yeah. That's all I said. Okay, continue then.
Well, I've been having a little bit of internet issues, so that's why. I'm sure that it's all my fault. But anyway, so yeah, that's one thing that like I feel like I'm particularly into. That's kind of a more masculine thing. What else? Well, I guess just in general, and this may be something that is unlike the don't like category. Well, like I'm not super, and I feel like guys can be this way too, but like I'm not like a super like affectionate person.
Yeah.
In general, like there's multiple people who tease me about my really stiff hugs, because they'll like try to hug me and I'll like robot hug them back because I'm just like, I don't want this, get off of me. And they'll tease me about it afterwards, which I feel like is kind of like a masculine thing as well, to be not very affectionate with people in general.
Yeah, I feel that.
And it's not necessarily that I like to be that way, it's just that I am that way.
I mean, being a person who is also that way, Alex, I feel you. I hear you and I feel you.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess like in general, like I enjoy kind of like almost being a bro in a sense. Like I enjoy the company of guys a lot. Like I like to be friends with a lot of guys just because girls can sometimes be really tiring.
Amen. I mean, being a person who has only guy friends, yes. Well, other than you and a few girlfriends. Okay, whatever, go on.
Yeah, because I'm just kind of like, I was, you know, thinking about the other day, like when, you know, we were talking about like all these different like dramas or whatever from the past, or like I was listening to all these dramas from the past from different people and whatever, which obviously, you know, it's not any particular person's fault, because obviously like people end up crazy and you don't necessarily know that in advance. My whole thing, I'm just kind of like, I feel like I avoid drama like the plague, and a big part of that is that I'm friends with a lot of guys. Like,
that makes sense.
There's something really low drama about it that I found that's been like particularly good for me. And I think that probably a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, well, you are friends with a lot of guys and you don't have this either, but you know, I would say it's because I only had brothers growing up.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a big contributor. Like I'm sure
for me, that's a big contributor.
I mean, yeah, I was raised as a boy, so that's probably why. I enjoy it. Yeah, but I think those are good answers, Alex. I agree with all of them. I mean, I also feel like you and me are like very similar in a lot of ways. So like, I'm just like, yeah, me too. Okay, so let's do maybe what do you think? 2 more?
Sure.
2 more each, or just one?
Let's do 2 more each. Okay. That sounds fun.
All right. Okay, so here's a question for you. If you can where'd it go? If you can rewatch something in your life, like some part of your life was filmed and you can rewatch it, what would it be?
Well, that is a good question. Particular part of my life and just rewatch. I'm having a hard time like thinking of a specific moment like in particular, but if I can like group together like a theme of moments, I would say like, you know, trips like with friends or like family, like those like really like the kind of like chill hangouts that I was talking about that I really want to do, like that stuff that I'd want to rewatch again, because like I have so much fun, you know, hanging out with like the people that I really care about, that like I'd love to relive some of that stuff, just because like, you know, remembering all those like things in like detail, like even if like they ended up being like kind of dumb things too, like, you know, all the nonsense that happened like at your bachelorette party.
Oh my God. We don't speak about that.
That would be fun to relive, just you know to see all the goofiness unfold. You know, our trip to Mexico, like
I do have a recording of that.
I know you do.
On my YouTube, I watch it once a month.
You know, that stuff like that, like, you know, the trip that I went on to Ecuador, just because like, you know, even though there was a lot of stuff that went on, like it was still like a lot of fun and whatever, and you know, I would love to go back to watching the moment where my nephew was making the grudge noises at my cat.
Didn't you record that though?
I did, and I rewatched it a lot to, you know, really drive the point home, because it's really funny.
Right.
But I kind of feel like, you know, those simple moments like with the people that I care about are just like what's going to make me happy to be able to like relive.
I feel you.
What about you?
Good. So I was thinking about this a good amount, like while you're answering, because I'm just like, oh, what if I want to like, I feel like, for the most part, the big moments in my life I've recorded, like when I travel, I record it, like my childhood, my mom like recorded everything. Like we have infinite home videos, like my weddings recorded, everything like that. So I'm like, what would I want to see that hasn't been already recorded? And you know what I've come up with? Specifically because, hang on, sorry, my mom's texting me. Anyways, okay, specifically because I talk about this with so many people and it's so outrageous and I just wish I can show people exactly what happened is all of my like moments with Cal when I was dating him, like when I fell off the freaking zip line or whatever it's called, slack line, and he like broke his back. Like I'm like, man, I wish I could have recorded that. Like it's so like out of a movie. Like it was so ridiculous. Like things like that. Like I'm just like, I wish I can like record my embarrassing moments like that so that I can like show people proof. Because sometimes I feel like I say these stories and like it's almost like so ridiculous that like how could it possibly be true? So like I wish I had the video to like show.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I would love to see those videos because those stories have sounded really funny.
Lord in heaven. Okay, what's your next one?
If you are in a bad mood, do you prefer to be left alone or have someone cheer you up?
A good question, and my answer for you is definitively be left alone. And I already know that this is your answer too. But I'm just like, when I'm upset, if anyone tries to make me feel better, if anyone gets in my way, I'm gonna make it worse because I'm gonna say things that I don't mean and it's just in the moment and I'm just hot-headed, like I'm just gonna be a jerk to anyone who's trying to be nice to me. And it's not because I'm mad at them or I'm like, like I don't like you or whatever. It's just because like I'm so upset and I don't know how to compartmentalize it.
No, I definitely, can see that and I can definitely relate to that because like as you pointed out, that's actually part of my answer. So to me, it actually really depends on the situation. And I feel really bad about my answer because I feel like it's unfair. So like, especially like when it's like when I'm with family and I'm really upset, like that's definitely a point where I want to be left alone. Because like, obviously I don't want to take anything out on anyone that's unfair. But also I feel like when I'm with my family, I'm at the most danger of like letting my feelings out. Because like one thing like in particular, like, because you probably know this about me, like when I get like really, really mad or like really frustrated, I can like start tearing up or whatever. Just because I'm like literally about to burst. And like, if I receive too much comfort, like really like real and true comfort, like for my mom specifically, I'm gonna let it out.
Okay.
And because I don't like emotional displays, that's why I like to be left alone, because like I don't want to let it out.
Right.
Like I want to just go off by myself, compartmentalize, and just like,
get it together.
Get over it. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong. There would be nothing wrong with me just letting it out. Like that wouldn't be such a horrible thing. I'm just have an inability to do so. But it's actually a lot easier for me to be cheered up by people who aren't directly related to what's going on. So like if I had like a particularly annoying day at work or whatever, and I'm like mad about it, just because I like to get space from a situation, I'd love to be like, hey, Dre, can I come hang out? Because I need to get out. I need to get out of here.
But is that more like, I feel like that's more like, because I like that too, but I don't feel like that's a, hey, make me feel better. It's like, hey, I want a distraction. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I guess my whole thing is that I'm not like to me, it's more or less the same thing because I draw comfort and I cheer up around, people in that situation.
Okay, that's
so to me, it is cheering me up without like it's cheering me up without being in my face about it.
I feel you.
Like if I feel like talking about it, I will, but like I can count on just going over there, not having to talk about it, but just blowing off some steam.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Next question.
My last melon. My last question. Oh shoot, I had it and then I lost it. It's what is a relationship deal breaker for you?
There's so many.
If like literally like the only like the top like it's like you won't even date this person. It's just like nope, you're out.
If I'm going to give a like the real and true answer, because like I'd like to say the whole they had to be a Christian thing, but obviously I haven't always dated Christian people, so I can't say that in all fairness. But what I will say is I'm not going to tell tolerate getting yelled at. Like you need to be in control of your emotions enough to not yell at me. Because I mean, like, I talked about it before, the household that I grew up in, like none of us yell at each other ever.
Right.
And we don't, well, for one, we don't take out anger on each other that way. That's just not how it goes. And I think like that would be particularly toxic for me.
Yeah.
Like that would be a situation that would really make me uncomfortable, is someone who is like so angry about certain things that they start yelling.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely like a valid thing. I know that you've said it multiple times on the podcast, so it makes sense that would be like the big deal breaker for you.
What about you?
It's a good question because I feel like I have multiple answers, but I'm like, okay, which one, like if I was presented with these multiple things in a person, like which one would be the utmost, like I can't do it. And I think it would be like someone who is like arrogant, like someone who's really into themselves and just like doesn't care about like other people. I'm like, I cannot do it.
That's
like
a good one.
That's like such a repulsive quality in me. Cause like, I hate to, okay, like it's, who's really humble, who says they're humble, but like I feel like I'm a humble person, like I'm not trying to like toot my own horns. Like whenever I like give myself a compliment, it's always like a backhanded compliment. I'm just like, oh, but this. And it's not because, like I necessarily feel that way. It's more because like I feel like I'm coming, like if I ever give myself credit, which I know I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel like if I ever give myself credit, like it's coming off as like arrogant, and I hate that. I hate it. And so for someone to just like not even consider that and just like straight on be like, I'm just like, oh no, I cannot be with someone like that.
Well, my last question then is going to be something of a similar avenue then. It's actually the question right above the one that you asked.
Okay.
Would you ever take back someone who cheated?
Oh, I saw that question. That's a good question.
Isn't that complicated?
It's a complicated question because obviously like I would like to say like no, but like at the same time it's like, I don't know. It's so hard because like, for example, I know people in my life, and I'm not going to give any reference to who, but like I know a few people in my life who they've had like spells of like cheating on each other. And I like no part of me would ever think that they're not each other's soulmates, and they ended up together and they're amazingly happy. And like, this is this, And so it's like, who am I to say that because you cheat on someone, it means that they're not the right person for you? Because if I'm looking at my own experiences, because obviously I have been unfaithful like in prior relationships, and I feel like the reason I was unfaithful is because I knew deep down inside that I wasn't meant to be with that person. And it was like, the universe telling me like, you need to get out of this relationship, So I would like to say like, if someone cheats on someone, it's the universe telling you that like, that's not the right person for you. You shouldn't be with them. But then I look at these other cases and it's like, what if it was more like the universe telling you like, oh, you need to work on this in your relationship, or like, this is a problem that you need to address, So it's hard to say yes or no. So I guess my answer is maybe. Like depending on the situation, I guess. I don't know. How about you?
Right. Well, I mean, I do agree in the sense where I feel like it really and truly does depend on the situation. For the larger majority of it, I would say no, I would not.
Okay.
Mostly just because like I know the type of person that I am, and I know already that like it's difficult for me to trust people in that situation, like within the confines of a relationship, just in general, like trusting them like with every part of who I am. So once you cross that line of I don't trust you anymore,
it's over.
It's really difficult to come back from that to me, because like I can't, like it's hard for me to imagine like how I would just be able to go back to trusting you.
Right. I'm sorry, go on. I'm sorry. It's something very exciting, but I'll tell you afterwards. Go.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so like I feel like I don't know how I'd be able to move on from that emotionally. Just because like I already feel like I have my own issues with how I view myself and whatever. So I don't need any more help in that department of you're not worth it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like obviously that's my own thing that I have to like get over whatever, because it's not true. But like it's those situations that kind of almost reinforce that without the person saying it.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I feel like that'd be really hard for me to get over, me personally. I think I'd want to try to get over it, but it'd be very difficult to do so.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I mean, like I said, like my immediate answer is no, I couldn't get back with someone, but I would hate to like close off any opportunity at like maybe I could, It
really just depends on the situation.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. But anyway, okay, well, Alex, that was fun. I'm glad you recommended this topic. I think it was really cool. Obviously, like this was such like a last minute like spur of the moment, like not planned well podcast, but I think it worked out. This was really fun.
Yeah, I thought we talked about some interesting stuff. Might have said something entertaining along the way.
Maybe along the way.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We will be back in your feeds next week.
Bye.
Bye.